Jamie McLean.
Hey guys, what's up?
How we doing?
I'm good. And no, I'm not in Edmonton. They are sending us for 5 games, 5, 6, and 7, depending on if necessary, all that fun stuff. But I'm just sitting here with my
Oh dear, shameless plugs.
Look at that. No, I don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never once accepted anything free.
See, I feel like you've got your irons in a lot of different fires we learned over the years.
Yeah, there's a 15% chance you own a small piece of that company.
I would love to, actually, to be honest. I would put money in from a venture capital group into that, but they probably have already been funded. I'll be honest. But I do love this flavor. And if they're listening, I will pay for.
We've made connection with the folks at Cove. They're aware of this happening.
I'll pay for a flat to be delivered to my house, but I will not accept freebies. So it is what it is.
See, and I'm all about freebies.
I thought he was the money management guy. What, you're not taking free?
Scruples.
Well, I could pay more, and I'll choose to.
Free, you know what? Free comes with, I need a favor down the road. I need this and that. And, it sometimes, like, I'm looking at 2 free hats over there on my left of my screen here.
Probably 3, but yeah.
Well, I don't know what the logo is. It's very attractive, but it looks pretty cool.
Let's go to the Rhett cam if we could. Well, this will all make sense.
See, they bring us beer, and we're big fans.
Well, I love it. See, that's cool.
We got our own beer.
See, we support each other, Jamie.
I love it. Well, I don't have anything. Nobody likes me enough to give me free stuff. You know what it is? It's just that's cool stuff. And it's tied to the show and everything. I mean, you know what? Even this, I'll show you this shirt. It's a vintage goalie shirt. I love their clothes, and I know the owner is out of Ottawa, and he offers, and he will send like a free, hat and stuff like that. But I tell him, I'm like, you're a small business. Take my Visa, let me support you, and I want to pay for it. So. I will order
support our small business. Noodles, if we could just have your credit card number.
Yeah.
We'll really want you to support our podcast.
Just read it out. Jack will jot it down.
Well, similarly, it's like my buddy Beef. He runs his hockey tournaments, AAA kids. He's like, I don't want volunteers. I used to get volunteers to run the time clock or whatever. No, let me pay you so that I can give you shit if you don't show up or you don't do it right.
Yeah, because a volunteer would they don't have skin in the game. Hey, I'm here on my own time, so what do I care?
Like being married.
Well, I mean, technically,
Can't expect anything.
Bad. Yeah.
I want to get back into the Brock Nelson Naturius conversation, though, because I heard you before coming on.
Can I give you the stipulation first? Because that's for 1 year, and then Naturius is going to get a huge bump from his 6.
Yeah, he's kind of an
other thing too, though. What I'm reading is this Naturius a pain in the ass? Because I
don't know. Where are these leaks coming from? That apparently he's not thrilled in Colorado, and maybe that's way off base. But we knew he wasn't happy in Carolina. The dad was the squeaky wheel a year ago.
Yeah, where is this guy going to be happy? How about play better? I mean, he's a hell of a player. I will say that, but I don't know what will make this guy happy. Like I think sometimes if you just said it, if the dad is involved. That's a package I don't want.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain in the ass. Like you're going, now you got the player and the kid, and the dad's probably telling the kid he's the greatest player. You're better than McKinnon. You're better than McKinnon, son. You're like stuff like that. Like, knock it off. Get out of it. You know what? I would tell the kid, Naturius, grow up. Tell your dad to sit in the stands and watch you play hockey.
That's what the Medicine Hat Tigers had to say to Rhett's son.
You're yelling at me.
Like I could see, well, no, Rhett, you're the exact opposite. I don't see you climbing the glass and yelling at people.
That is more of a problem nowadays than we would know about.
100%. And I'll even go a step further, because now it's the wives and the girlfriends, the WAGs or whatever they're called, the WAGs. Did you see the article the other day of Lauren McDavid and the WAGs in Edmonton and all? They all wear team coats and everything. The last thing I would want to do if I had a girlfriend and bring her to the game is have her identify that she was my girlfriend. If I'm not playing well, somebody's going to give her heck and approach her and stuff. Like, all it is drawing attention to people going, and the kids are in the glass and warm up and it's insanity. Like I get now there's a package that comes with players, but to me, there should be a layer. These guys never get privacy. Why would you want to open a can of worms to open your private life even more.
And it's odd because there's a lot of things they do to get privacy, but then they'll go out and do something like that, and like high-fiving their kid through the glass. And it's like, well, you've just eliminated all your private. Like, I get it. It's a heartfelt thing, but
it's weird. I'm sounding like a curmudgeon old man, and I'm not trying to. I'm trying to look at it through the lens of today. But like you just said, Rhett, you can't have the best of both worlds. You can't go, leave me alone. We want our privacy. But, you know, in our life, we want to do this, and just leave us alone if we want, you know, if I'm going to walk around with a jacket on, or if I'm going to be right front and center, you've got to accept what comes with front and center. If you want to be private, like I think of a lot of guys that we played with, Rhett, or even guys like near the end of my career that I played with who were quite private people. Jay Bouwmeester comes to mind. Bo just played hockey and was really good at it, really good. But like, you never knew. I knew his dad, Dan, from Edmonton, but like, you didn't know his wife. Like,
his wife worked in a clinic. I walked in there and she's like, "Oh, hi, Rhett."
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
But that's the thing. Like, you didn't know about people's lives. Like, you didn't. And I get social media has really brought that to the forefront. But now I would see the guys that I played with. I don't think their wives were like, "Hey, I need to be front and center too." Like Kara Ginla could have been like, Jerome McGinley's wife could have been like that, but she was involved in charity. She was great in the wives' room. She was just a great citizen, just like Jerome. But it wasn't like, look at me, everybody. You know, I need some attention.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I've gone as far as saying I actually believe this, and it doesn't matter. If you want to get McDavid out of Edmonton, you go to Mama Bear. And you go, come open a shop down in Toronto or wherever, New York. Like,
that was just an example. I'm not.
I know, but I've said it, and I believe it. If you want
that Lauren McDavid, because I think what they are is invested in Edmonton. I think she's, you know, small business owner, wants to do that. I respect that. What I'm saying is that there's articles in the paper about it. There's more attention on now the unit of a player. When they're very private, and a lot of times they want privacy, but yet here's more publication. Here's more, you know, hey, out here now you're going to have lunatic fans that want to go and do something, and their private space is going to be invaded. So I think there's a fine line, but they put themselves out there. So it's just, I think coming back, and this was coming back to the Naturius conversation, like, he's a hell of a player. But at what point, like, it sounds like in Carolina, the dad was complaining or whatever. Again, you just pick up nuggets. I don't know the truth, but it doesn't sound like it's good. Like, this is a kid that comes with baggage as opposed to just being a really good player.
And he continually said in Carolina, he want to play center, want to play center, want to play center. Well, he's not playing center in Colorado because they're going McKinnon, they're going Nelson, Charlie Coyle, Jack Drury, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Those are your 4 centers. Like, they literally brought in 3 centers last year. They didn't move them to the middle. Maybe that's the thing, or maybe it's not. Maybe this is just someone making up shit. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
When is it the player? I'm trying to think of guys like that. If we're playing with guys like that, you'd pull them aside and say, "Get your head out of your ass."
Yes. At some
Does
point,
this happen? Like,
well, at some
tell
point,
your dad to beat it.
Yeah, at some point the player has to grow up and go.
But sometimes it takes a player to tell that player, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes, I agree. Like, sometimes you have to have. Now, I can understand. Like, keep in mind, Rhett, like, there are guys that get into the league at 18 and 20, 21. Like, you know, their family unit is around, and rightfully so. I get that, but you're seeing guys that are 26, 27, like, married, family, and you're like, that there's the package that's coming with them. It's like, okay, enough. There's got to be a line in the sand to go, this is my life, this is my livelihood, I'm a man. You know, it's funny. Mike Babcock, his whole lines, one of his lines in Toronto was always like, we've got men trying to feed their families, and, you know, like okay, so yes, if your men are trying to feed their families, then they don't need the parents and the brothers and the uncles and the cousins and all that stuffed into the penalty box for Instagram, waving and like, I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean. It's just, I just think there's a line, and I get it. Like we're going to be I'm going to be around the finals. I don't know if you guys are going to be driving up for it. You don't want to, but I'm going to be around the finals, and that's a different animal. That's you bring your family. Everybody who helps support you get there. They should have a piece of that. I get, but on a Tuesday in November, no. Like there's got to be a line drawn. Going, let me do my job.
Now, is there a Caesar's Steakhouse in Edmonton?
Yeah, how are we going to get
Because you owe me cheese toast, pal.
Okay, so I'll let you in on a little secret. I was in Calgary last Friday for the day. I went to Caesar.
We're going to need a credit card, Noodles.
Oh, no.
That is so dirty.
And
That is
you.
dirty.
Hang up on him, Jack. Hang up.
So we're real tight.
Sorry, losing your connection there, Noodles.
It was it was not a good. It was a tragic thing. So that's why I came in for a day. There was, it was just not a good thing. Put it that way.
Thing?
Yes. So it wasn't her funeral or that, but I came in to show support and so for me at the end of the day, I wasn't calling friends in that. It was just I was in there and one day and I went to Caesar's and I thought of you, Rhett, and I do owe you cheese toast and a full meal. Actually, you know what? The four of us should go.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
God.
Screw you, Jack.
And I will pay. I will buy a nice dinner there. The drinks are on you because you guys drink heavily, so I'm not paying for all that alcohol.
I'll bring some Coves for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, you bring Cove, but I will buy the cheese toast, the appetizers, and the steak. But great food.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
So you're going to be around the finals. We are. I mean, we're loath to talk about it. We were saying we bitched when there's no hockey, and now there's hockey tonight. We're going to watch this freaking game. Yeah. I'll speak for myself. I have more, if you want to call it trepidation, fear. Just the Oilers have looked so poised and they've controlled games. And for the better part of series, 5 games, even LA, after they got off the mat at 2-0 down, they cruised to a 6 game. They look so composed. That's just the word I keep throwing out. They could
literally be undefeated in the last 2 rounds. Like Vegas scored.
Well, Vegas scored off
seconds.
Like with
Dreisaitl's stick.
And Dallas
went wild on power play binge in the 3rd period.
No, they also got some overtime wins, but they've been in control basically since game 2/3 of the way through game 3, game 4 against LA.
They have been, but and I would argue that Edmonton's had a tougher pathway than Florida. You know,
maybe.
Like, I mean, Tampa's a hell of a team. I think Toronto's a good team, but I think Carolina ran out of gas.
Well, let me ask you, because we talk about it, obviously. What is it about Dallas and Vegas? They just looked so spent and done for the better parts of both of those series. Is that Edmonton's doing? Because on paper, Vegas and Dallas, they're powerhouses. They were nothing to speak of in rounds 2 and 3.
Well, you know what? I know it always comes back to goaltending, but that's the one thing that Edmonton was able to get to. Darcy Kemper's up for the Vezina. He gave up 5 goals once this season. Edmonton got him for 5 goals like 3 games in a row for fun. Aiden Hill, up and down season, but down the stretch, really stable, won a cup. He's proven winner, and Edmonton got to him. Now, they got to him a little bit greasier. They got traffic and got him off his game and that, but like they got to him. Jake Ottinger, statistically, I believe, was the best goaltender in the playoffs heading into that series. Every one of his games was a quality start. He hadn't had a poor start.
Heading into round 3, it was like him and Freddie Anderson were ahead of the field.
Yes, you're right. Freddie Anderson as well. Yeah. And they got to him. And he looked quite ordinary or worse. And so that's the one thing. You're right. Like the other team, like you can break it down, the mechanics, and I didn't see a lot of the top players for Dallas show up. I think it was Edmonton's speed. It was their physicality. I think their D were really good at moving the puck quickly to get out of their zone. So they weren't hemmed in their zone for extended lengths of time. I know this is a weird thing to say. I swear to God that John Klingberg helped stabilize their D.
Yes.
Yeah, they needed a puck mover. I think it was Jeff Jackson spoke somewhere after round 3.
He spoke in the break and said, or in one of the in between periods, that he said that Stan Bowman was bullish on getting another puck-moving D and not a defender. And they got Woolman. So they've got a puck-moving D on each pairing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Bouchard, you've got Woolman, and you've got Klingberg. And Kulak can move the puck too, can skate. And Stetcher can move and skate if he's in it. And Ekholm, like their D are mobile and can move the puck. And that's all they need to do. So I look at it, they weren't. Now, Florida's a different beast because Florida forechecks like madmen. And their D are aggressive on the strong side. And they're always pinching down with somebody on top. Now, I would say if Edmonton is going to have success, you got to have quick puck movement right out of your zone into the neutral zone and passing with speed. And I'll give you an example. Game 7, Toronto, Florida. Florida was over aggressive. Toronto had 3 breakaways in that first period. That could have been it. Now it was Lorentz, it was Nylander, and it was the other guy they traded for from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Scott Lawton. Had that have been Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, the score might have looked different. Now, you give those chances to 97, 29, 93, 91, guys like that, they might score on those chances. So that's what I'm looking at is Edmonton has been really efficient at getting out of their zone and moving in with speed. Can Florida combat that and make them play in their own zone a lot more? That's where Edmonton could get in trouble.
If I told you team got to the Stanley Cup Final with an 896 save percentage, would you believe me?
Yes.
Here.
No, but I would, because keep in mind, everyone thinks 92. I think the league average was 902, 903 this year. Like it wasn't over. Like it's 9 out of 10 now. It's gone back. It's reverted back. It wasn't for years. It was 918, maybe up to 920. You see guys that are, but for the league average is 9 out of 10 for the most part. And what they need is 9 out of 10 goaltending. Mm-hmm. And that's really because they're the highest, both these teams are the highest scoring teams in the playoffs. They're both averaging about 4 goals a game, correct?
Yep.
So it's a race to 4 if you're going to give up 30 shots. You get 9 out of 10, that's 3. So it's a race to 4. Now, if you can tighten up the game, then it's a race to 3. But that's what I'm seeing. And that's not anything brilliant. That's just statistics. It's there. Each team can score 4. So, and the save percentage is around 9. So that's what I'm looking at.
Well, and you've got Skinner and Pickard. Both guys have 6 wins. That's not, you don't see that very often going into a cup final where one of the finalists.
Be like Pittsburgh and Carolina, the only teams I can think of that got that far.
Philadelphia had
Bouchard and Leighton, maybe. Yeah.
Scott Darling gave some games before Crawford took over there in Chicago, one of Chicago's runs. Really? Remember Darling played, I think, the first played game 2 to 6 with Chicago against him, something like that. And listen, it's weird. Because if Edmonton finishes this off, which I don't know, it's a coin flip. People are like, it's just destined McDavid's going to get it done. I'm like, have they watched Florida play? They're a hell of a team. So I will say, if Edmonton does win, you can look at the turning points of, Byfield not getting it out. Game 3 there. That could have made it. That could have really been a dagger.
Game 4.
The goalie challenge.
Game 3.
Those are 2, because those are critical ones where we could easily be sitting here and going, man, Edmonton had a pretty good team. They just couldn't put it together. Just couldn't. It all didn't come together in time. Klingberg was just settling back in. Kane was just settling back in. Frederick was limping around. RNH didn't have a great season. Hyman didn't have a great season.
Ekholm was out.
Yeah. Ekholm was out. Skinner was injured down the stretch. McDavid and Draisaitl, by their standards, Draisaitl was the only guy who had a great year. McDavid didn't even have a great year by his standards. So you look at it like they all came together at the right time. And it was almost like they were like, wake us up when the playoffs start. And it took them a few games before they got going, and now they're going. But this long break, I have no idea what to expect tonight.
There's a lot of similarities. Like Florida was the same. Like I don't know how much they cared about anything after the 4 nations. They were happy to get guys rest. They didn't care if they were a 2 or 3 seed.
They did.
I think, what are we looking at 2, 3 seeds here? Because I think Tampa was chasing Toronto for the top seed. They were like 2, 3 seeds in the division in the final. And both are like, yeah, this is just the dress rehearsal. Like, our best is ahead. We don't care. We're going to get right. We'll bring everyone back when it matters.
It's funny you say that because Paul Maurice kind of stopped short saying that to me down the stretch. They did a game in Ottawa, and I had a good chat with him out in the hallway before the game, and he goes, Jamie, we're not playing bad, but he goes, we're not there. Like he could almost say, like, and even talking to Rob Tallis, the goalie coach, he's like, we're right there, but he goes, we're not, it's almost like they weren't invested. They were just playing, hey, it's a Thursday night in Ottawa, we're playing. And that night they were unbelievable. Actually, I think either Allmark or Forsberg stole the game because there was back-to-back games where Ottawa's goaltenders stole the game because it was Tampa that put up 29 high-danger chances, and I think Forsberg won the game 2-1, something ridiculous, and same thing against Florida. You could see the framework of like really amazing teams, but they just kind of were coasting. And Edmonton was the same thing. Now, Kasperi Kapanen, like, they're getting guys that are chipping in, but I would argue it's Draisaitl. They put Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Kapanen, and he goes, you want to play with me, play straight line, play fast, and get to the net, and I'll make you look good. That's kind of what's happened. And they do look good. So be interesting to see. I think, I look at factors on both sides. I think Marchand is always going to factor in. I think Tkachuk knows he's always going to try and factor in. He started to look healthier against Carolina. He didn't look very good against Toronto at all. And he was a non-factor really against, I know he scored early on against Tampa, but I didn't think he was overly dominant. But I think he looks healthier a lot now. So it's a coin flip for me, guys. I could see this going 7, and I really do. I think both teams are really good and possibly better than last year.
I think they both say they are. I mean, I know like Seth Jones is a good player. They swap up Montour, they bring him in. Marchand, that's another guy that fits their DNA in Florida.
Yeah,
Edmonton's got to feel better about their goaltending going to the final than they did last year. Klimberg's a revelation. They've found the depth they didn't have last year. It doesn't feel like a one-line team. Like, I think both teams tell you they're better than last year.
They are, but how does that? I think the crazy thing is how does that match up? That's the weird thing because you're not playing a different, like you're playing the exact same team just with a few different characters on it.
Yeah,
I think early on we forget Florida got up 3-0, but Bobrovsky, I think he stole 2 of those games.
That's what I was just going to say. Bobrovsky, to me, is the key because you've had goaltenders that are really good that haven't stepped up to the plate and done the job that you needed them to do against the best players in the world and to help you win.
Yeah.
And Bobrovsky do it again.
I agree. I think that's the biggest thing is if Bobrovsky, you could argue today, if you do a case study, if Edmonton wins, it's probably McDavid that wins the Conn Smythe. If Florida wins, it's probably going to be Bobrovsky that wins it. Because even if Barkov or Reinhart or Verhaeghe or Tkachuk go nuts in the series, they're still going to need saves. I don't see this as Florida winning in 6 and winning a bunch of games 6-1, 6-1, and the goalie's not a factor. The goalie's going to have to be a factor on both sides. I think Edmonton can get by if Skinner's good. I think Florida will get by if Bobrovsky has to be brilliant on certain instances, which I pointed out, where Florida's aggressiveness will get them in trouble, and the goalie has to be a difference maker.
And to be fair, the resumes aren't close. Like, you're talking about a 2-time Vezina winner, highest paid goalie in the league, like up until a Shesterkin deal. Like, they have a clear edge in net. It better show up in the next series or they're going to lose it.
Well, Bobrovsky's numbers in the finals, just kind of looking through that pack that NHL sends out, his numbers in the Stanley Cup Finals, 5 wins, 7 losses, 3.51 goals against, 875 save percentage.
Yeah. I mean,
he's been really good, or it's like,
well, that was last year's final.
Where's Bob?
He was one of their best players. They got blown up by the Oilers in their 3 losses, right?
Yeah. That's the problem is, those numbers are inflated because I was there at wasn't game 6 like an 8-1 drubbing?
Thumping.
Or game 4.
You talked about it earlier, like it just ties in nicely. The Florida Panthers get up 3-0, and you're talking about the distractions that family and girlfriends and kids provide. All the families there for game 4 in Edmonton. They fly up because they might be able to win, right? I believe it was Florida with home ice. Yeah. Then everyone's back to Florida. Then they're back up to Edmonton for game 6, and then they're finally back in game 7. The only time the Oilers had to travel with that circus of family around was going to Game 7 because they were never in a spot to clinch until then.
Yeah, my understanding in talking to people from Florida, they brought the whole whack of them up on the Game 4. Game 6, they were like, no, not so much.
Yeah,
they really pared it down because I think they were getting, you're getting a little more nervous, right? Going, hey, like, what are we dealing with here? The other thing is, I think if you're going to look at experience second time or third time around, it's going to help Edmonton because first time around, just talking about, cousins, uncles, everybody needs tickets. Everybody needs this. Hey, I'm flying in. Haven't seen you in 2 years, but I'm going to stay on your couch and want to come to the game. Like, and it's a circus. And I think now they know what to expect. It's media day. It's louder. It's noisier. The city's buzzing. How are you going to approach your game day? All that type of stuff. Rhett, you can speak to it. You've been in a final. What was that like? I know it's different with social media and stuff then, but like, was your game day routine different? Was the distractions, was it noisier?
It's way noisier unless you shut your phone off and don't get involved in it. I mean, I was single and it was easier. And the first 2 finals, there weren't even cell phones. So it wasn't such a big deal. But the last one, I literally kept my phone off. It was like, I'll contact you if I've got tickets. So you talk to a few people, but the best thing, and everyone's different. Some people like the noise. I didn't. I just went, let's focus on what we're doing here. So it's very noisy, especially if you allow it to be.
Yeah. I remember Robin telling me he got a drum set and he got so tired of having pregame naps. Like he was like, I just go down and play the drums.
Yeah.
My naps were shortened because he said, you're so wired during the day. He's like, you're just going to lay there anyway. So he goes, I go and play the drums, listen to music. Like he found like a different routine to get to the game. And I think that's the biggest thing now. I can't imagine as we actually put a bow on the distraction of the group that come in. You're at home and you're playing a game and your parents are there. Mom wants to cook pregame, girlfriend, brothers, uncles, sister. Like you got to go. I might stay at a hotel. Like,
I would think 90% of the time the guys are staying in hotels just for that reason, or at least that's how it was.
Yeah.
And it's, it may be nothing, but you just think about things that potentially could be an edge for the Oilers. You're back for the second. It was just last year. It's the same team. So the travel, what the travel is. You know what the climate is. You know what the rink is. You know what all of it, the dressing room, all the stuff that maybe threw you for just a little loop here or a little loop there.
Yeah.
You're so much wiser this time around. The thing that I'm kind of home ice. Edmonton has home ice, and they've been so good. You think about those series where they've started on the road and they get game 3 and they just demolish teams when they get back in there. And then you think of Tkachuk in the Leaf series, talk about there's just so much pressure on the home team to play. We were just so happy to come in here. We had no pressure. We could just take so what's it going to be? Is it going to be feasting with that crowd and that energy, just how good the Oilers have been at home? Or is it the Panthers being the Panthers coming in there and being the bad guy in front of their home for the home crowd?
That's the crazy part, because you can make an argument for both. Yeah. The only thing I would dig in, remove the emotion, is I saw a stat, I think it was Mike Johnson who brought it up, that McDavid last year head-to-head with Barkov, it was like 1 goal to 1 goal. But then
that's good.
It's the best defensive center in the league against the best team in the league.
But away from that matchup, McDavid's line was 5-1. So starting at home, getting away from that matchup and finding, Chris Knobloch finding an extra shift for those guys on an icing and stuff like that. It might be, home ice. I get the crowd is the 6th person and all that. I'm talking tactical. Like you find that matchup and pinpoint on Florida's 3rd pairing and find a extra shift for McDavid or Draisaitl here, or you come back with them. That's where I think you can have that advantage, because you got 2 of the best defensive forwards playing for Florida in Reinhart and Barkov, and
top 2 vote getters for the Selke.
And I was a voter. I had them in there. Now I would when Draisaitl actually applies himself, I have him as a Selke guy too. He's a hell of a player. He can play in all situations. I just think times where he's like, nah, I'm good. Like there's times now. I don't think that'll be the case in the finals or even in the playoffs. We haven't seen that, but there were nights on a Tuesday in November. He'd be like, nah, not doing that. Like it's too hard to get back there. But I look at it. It is going to be fascinating. And I had some X factors going in that were kind of unsung heroes. Lundell for me is a really pivotal guy. Because I think if Bennett leaves, he's their number 2 center. And he's a really good player. And on the other side, it's Henrique, because Henrique, I think that's a third line center. He's going to get matchups on the road that you're going to have to win that matchup or at least tie. And if it's third line versus third line, Florida's third line has been dominant.
I was just going to say, Noodles, you think about over the years, you remember Detroit with the grind line and Anaheim when they won. Everyone, Tampa Bay, they had their third line. That lost Ryan and Marchand and Lundell third line has been so good.
Yeah.
On night, okay, we got Reinhart under check. Kachuk was a little bit off. Rosterainen came through with 2 goals, or Lundell with a big goal. They've been a really good third line.
And a lot of it has been, in talking to people in Florida, is Marchand has got those 2. Apparently they're very just quiet fans, just do their job, just do their and he's got them like they worship him, in a good way. Like they're like, this guy is an amazing and Marchand's big personality. Apparently early on, when he got to Florida, he was injured. He was trying to figure out, okay, I've been a captain. I've been kind of a loud personality. How do I fit in here? And he just let go, and the boys just love him. Apparently, he's just like one of the most popular guys in the room, and he's invigorated that group. I don't think they make it through Toronto without Marchand. He was their best player. You're right, and so I look at it. He's an X factor, but he's too popular. I'm looking at unsung heroes. That's why I thought Lundell, and I look at a guy like Henrique, who's got to be a difference maker for the Oilers in a positive way. And not scoring, but he's got to do a job when he's on the ice. That's that's why he came there kind of on a value contract, and they brought him back, because I think he's a hell of a player. He's a really smart player.
We can't keep you forever, but
that's true.
Going to flip a coin, or how we decide who's going to win this thing?
Yeah. How's the spine? The spine of the team when you overlap
spines.
When you overlap the rosters, that's how Noodles does it.
I mean, the edge is in goal. We know Florida, but Skinner doesn't. The thing is the gap can't be that big. That's the biggest thing. Okay. And I think Edmonton's D is, as I laid out, puck movers on each pairing. They've been really good. At Ekholm coming back is a big plus. Him getting that game underneath his belt is a big plus, because he's a big, strong guy and who can be physical in front of the net. So, yes, I like Jones. Yes, I like Ekblad. Forsling might be the best defender in the series, but I think their D kind of wash each other. And the forwards, there's tremendous depth on both sides, but 97 and 29 are the 2 best players in the games. So I give a slight edge just based on those 2 to Edmonton, but the team game, Florida's been there, done that, and they've also excelled. Like, they've actually won it. So that intangible might bring it back. That's why I'm telling you, it's a coin flip. I don't have – a week from now we'll be talking, and, we'll be deep into this series.
And most of these games anyway, it's like, there's the one bounce of the puck, and, it hit a shin pad, or, that was posting out, not posting in, or, it got the knob of the goalie's stick. And, we've seen so many 1-goal games in this postseason where it's just like, it's crazy. It's cruel. One bounce can dictate, you think this guy's a loser, this guy's a winner over here.
Ask Pete DeBoer. 10 days ago, the guy was the greatest coach on the planet, and all of a sudden now they're like, oh, you embarrassed the goaltender, you did this and that. You're like, all right, well, I didn't feel like he needed to drive the bus over him and back up over him. Like the series was over.
He kind of did, right?
Oh, yeah. There's no need for that.
There was no need.
Series is over. You don't need to throw any gas on the fire.
There was just no, I know he was emotional and all that. There was just no need. I had no problem with the pull. I just thought he should have gone back in. You put him back in, you're going to yell at everybody, get your head out of your ass and go back, get going. But you don't give the goalie the opportunity to do that too. So,
It was a weird one, because I said, if you're pulling the goalie, then don't call timeout. That is your timeout.
Yeah. But I think he was
so. Tell him at the beginning. Don't wait till it's over to tell him.
You don't.
It was just a weird transaction how it all went down, and then at the end to like, you lose. Whether
he could have just said, "I wanted to pull the goalie and to spark the team, and we're looking for something to get us going."
Yeah.
Instead,
but went to a very prepared almost statement about his performance last year.
That's numbers. Is there more to it though? Is DeBoer pissing people off, or is Ottinger a pain? Like that's for me. None of it makes sense. I'm like,
something was weird. Like something's off there to the point where they might have to have a beer together this summer and squash some stuff because Ottinger's got 8 years left. Like
I know, but DeBoer, I'm more looking at DeBoer because he's bounced around after having success. I'm like, well, something doesn't feel right here.
5 of the last 6 conference finals.
Maybe it's just circumstances, but
guys missed their game 7. Just get him to game 7.
Yeah,
can't do it in round 3 apparently.
Couldn't do that.
Yeah. He's not.
We were saying if you're Jake Ottinger, you're the guy. You signed the 8-year deal. You're in the 3rd round elimination game. 2 goals and 2 shots. Okay, well, I got to make saves, but at the same time, guys, are we ready to play?
Yeah.
And then your coach pulls you and you put Casey DeSmith, not a storied NHL veteran who's maybe been through Casey DeSmith the rest of the way. So you sit on the bench, you're embarrassed, you lose, and then your coach. If I'm Ottinger, I need some time before I'm having a face-to-face with DeBoer.
Yeah,
I might rip it off.
You need to go fishing in Michigan or whatever they do there. But I agree. Like it just is a weird. I just didn't like the way that all went down because you could argue, and I think Dallas is a hell of a team, and they've gotten there every year. Now they got to get over the hump, but they're not. That's not blow it up type of thing. It's like, hey, we need to keep adding pieces. We need internal growth. We need all of these things. But in the end, it was such a black cloud over, a week earlier. You're like, this team can beat Edmonton. This team's really good, and it's amazing how the perception of something can change in 1 week. Like I could argue, and I always bring it to Toronto. If Toronto loses in double overtime in Game 7 to Florida, you go, it's a pretty damn good team, and that got beat by a really good team as well. But it's the fact that they got blown out 2 home games on, and booed off the ice and that. It's the optics of it. Whereas a week earlier, they're like, Toronto's making the cup here. You know how it is here. They're making the cup and took care of Ottawa. And so the perception is like, they've got to blow everything up. Well, I think you need tinkering. And it's the same thing in Dallas. And if Edmonton loses, you're going to, they're not just going to blow the team up. You got to reload and keep trying. That's the biggest challenge. I think everyone's leaning Edmonton, but I wouldn't sleep on this Florida team. Like I think Florida's a hell of a team, but McDavid is a man possessed, so we'll see how he's going to handle with it.
Just back to the Dallas thing, we'll let you go. Did they have a goalie consultant or a goalie coach that can fly in to try and kind of soothe and calm the waters between the goalie and the coach?
And get poisoned on a boat or something like that.
Compensation.
Because you did that. Didn't you have to kind of go and talk to, because it was.
Myself and Mike Keenan flew over to have a visit with Mika Kiprasov. Yes.
Yeah.
And we went for some great steak dinners and some beers, and it was a great visit. And I really think, no, I don't even think, I know it helped. We forget. We show up for training camp. The coach is already in coaching form. You're not getting to see what this person's like away from the rink. We always talk about Daryl Sutter. I mean, Daryl's the greatest human away from the rink. And he doesn't talk hockey with you or anything. Like it's family, it's, farming or, you name it. Like Daryl's very, yeah, exactly. But when you're around in that environment, it's hockey and it's intense. You don't get to see the best of everybody all the time, right? And I think that trip was a prime example of getting to know the person involved, not the actions or the comments in heated moments. A lot of teams, I'm sure, do it behind the scenes, put it that way.
All right, pal, we'll let you get out of here. Are you off to the golf course today? I
am. I got to go right now. I don't even know where the hell this thing is.
All right.
Get a collared shirt on, Noodles. Come on, clean up your act.
I do, but I got to be on the panel tonight. So I'm taking a collared shirt, and then I can't wear a golf hat because my hair's got to, the Lego hair's got to stay on. So got a lot of motion here. All hell's breaking loose. And I'm starving. I got to eat.
All right.
Get out of
Get outta
here.
here. Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.